Sensory circuits, what are they and how can they help in the classroom? Jane Harwood first created sensory circuits. She wrote a book called Sensory Circuits. Check it out, it's got lots of really great information. In this short intro, I'm just going to summarise some of the key principles so we can implement some of the sensory circuit activities and ideas and principles into the classroom. My name's Rachel Gaughan, I'm an occupational therapist. Sensory circuits is a 3-step approach. We look at getting the body in a just right place for learning. We start by alerting and energising activities. We continue with organising activities and we end with calming activities. The 3-step approach is super important in the principle of sensory circuits. And the sensory circuits has kind of really got the foundational concepts from sensory integration and sensory motor learning theory to really get that body in the just right place for learning with these key principles. So sensory circuit receive sensory impact, and from the sensory input that is received from the activities that we set up, that is looking to change the neuroplasticity within the child's body to be able to better improve their motor development and to integrate their senses to have achieved sensory integration. So really what we're looking at when we set up these sensory circuits are that we are making a change on the inside for the child in terms of their neuroplasticity, which we will see on the outside in terms of their motor development and their ability to integrate sensory integration. So some of the key principles for sensory circuits, again, remember it's to get the body in a just right place for learning. With these key principles is really repetition. We cannot do a sensory circuit once and not complete the sensory circuit again. We need to have repetition, and that really is looking at daily, if not more, but certainly having at least a daily sensory circuit. The predictability, that is also key for developing those next level skills, developing those motor skills, for developing that neuroplasticity. We need the predictability of keeping things sustainable and the same for quite a few weeks and block of time. So predictability, keep the circuit the same over a period of time. Look at intensity. We need to increase the intensity if the intensity is not quite right for the children who are using it. We need to decrease the intensity if it's too much. So what we mean by intensity, if after the children complete it, are they bouncing off the walls? Well, maybe we need to look at the intensity of the activities and change them up. Maybe we need to bring it down, or maybe we need to bring it up. So we need to look at what options we're given in terms of our sensory motor options. And again, coming back to that frequency, so we talked about daily before, but so the repetition and the frequency kind of go hand in hand, but keeping it consistent, keeping it predictable, keeping the intensity good at a high level and keeping the frequency regular. So what do? We'll come back to that. So sensory circuits, we're looking at alerting. We want to stimulate the body's vestibular and proprioceptive systems in the central nervous system in preparation for learning. So we want to do alerting activities. Now you might think, yes, but the kids are already bouncing off the walls, are already alert, but perhaps they're not alert in a conscious way for their own body. So by getting them to consciously do activities such as spinning on the spot, running start-stop games, jumping jacks, or bouncing on a ball hopper, these can all be alerting activities that can be consciously done by the child to help kind of get ready for that state of learning, get readiness for learning. Then we need to move on to organising. We cannot just do alerting on its own, and you may have found that in the classroom. If you just do alerting on its own, they're not quite ready to sit down and learn. So really it's that multi-sensory processing that's helping the brain and body work together to do more than one thing at a time in a sequential order, so basically one after the other. So what we want to do, so walking on a balance beam, we have to get our balance and we have to look at our vision too. That's kind of doing more than one thing at a time. You can increase the challenge, make it harder, decrease the challenge, make it easier depending on your children in the classroom. Skipping with a skip rope. you have to jump, but also get the timing right of when you propel yourself up, just in time for the skip rope to come under you. If you want a less challenging activity, it might be log rolls on the floor, where you're really keeping moving, going over and over and over and over. So you're rotating your body, but you're also getting the sensory input and the tactile feedback as you rotate your body and making the movements across the floor. Or it might be things like alternate knee lifting. You're obviously getting your balance, you're having to lift one knee up, you're putting it down, lifting the other knee. You're again doing that sequential piece. You're doing one leg, then the other leg, one leg, then the other leg. That piece is really organising. Then we want to look at calming. When we look at calming, we want to think of, again, multisensory processing, but this time we're looking at the tactile and proprioceptive input to give an awareness of body and space, to increase the ability to self-regulate. So this one, where if we're thinking tactile and proprioception, sometimes it can be lying under a weighted blanket. This can give lots of kind of tactile and proprioceptive input. It can be wall pushes. This is a really nice activity you can do standing in a line, perhaps when you've finished your sensory circuit, or as really as an ending to the sensory circuit. You can do table push downs as well, which is also kind of an accompaniment to wall pushes. Rolling gym ball over body, so lying and getting the gym ball squashing over the body. So remember, the pressure will be dispersed by the gym ball, but you might be mindful of the pressure you're giving through the gym ball, but really we will aim for that deep pressure, so it can be felt almost like a hug, but given through the gym ball while kind of lying on the floor, again getting that nice tactile input. Or it might be things like hand massages. This could be self hand massages, this might be hand massages given to the child. So those are just some ideas on the 3 areas. Now, factors to consider. How to create and maintain your sensory circuit. Well, you need information from others. So you need to have the right information. I encourage you all to get the book or look online for more info on sensory circuits if you want other ideas other than the ones that are listed here in this presentation. Or you might just want to start with choosing these presentation ideas and implement those. You might need more training. Again, look into contacting your occupational therapist who might be able to give you more info on sensory integration. You might want to look at more information about that yourself. Again, the online is a great resource. You might want to think about progressing the sensory circuit. So we want to keep it predictable, yes. We want to keep it intense, yes. And we want to keep the repetition and frequency there, yes. But we also need to change it sometimes. So what I would recommend is perhaps having 6 weeks of the same circuit and then switching it up and then having something different in place. That's something to consider. So you do not have to have mastered every piece on the sensory circuit to move on. It's not about mastery, it's about continuing the body's neuroplasticity. So do not feel you have to stick with an activity until a child has got it. That's not the purpose of sensory circuits. And then ultimately, what we're looking at in sensory circuits is carryover in class. We're looking for children who are more regulated, who can attend, who are more coordinated, who are more engaged. So they're really the benefits of using a sensory circuit. And really, for more information, please look for the book, contact your OT. Here are some other resources. Thanks so much for listening.